Hello, this is Dr. Natalie Lenore Blackman coming back to you with Matters of the Heart. And we are in the summer season, the summer of love, as I like to call it, where we are studying the heart and imbalances of the heart and how to correct the imbalances of the heart. We have been talking about when the heart is unhealthy, what those manifestations look like. And we've also been talking about the heart when it's balanced should be joyful. And in Proverbs, it even says, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine. So I wanted to just touch again on why I am walking us through this type of process, and just a reminder that each session builds on itself. So there are numbered sessions. The ones we have numbered so far are for spring, and then these are the numbered sessions for summer. And I do encourage you to start from the first one in spring and work your way through. But in my 20 years of practicing veterinary medicine, I observed in the first 10 years that animals tended to have the same disease processes that their owners had. And there weren't any answers for me regarding that. So let's talk about when I was an emergency critical care vet. And let's say a dog came in on emergency, and I took it in and I was working the dog up, and I discovered the dog had heart disease and was in the early stages of congestive heart failure. And I would put the client in the room and be prepared to give them this devastating news, only to have the client say, oh yes, I understand. I have congestive heart failure myself. I'm on a very similar medication. Okay? That didn't just happen on a blue moon. It happened all the time. Kidney disease. Go in the room. I need to talk to you about your dog's illness, kidney disease. Oh, yes. Yes, I have kidney disease. I'm on dialysis. And I mean over and over and over again. So for 10 years, I practiced medicine observing this phenomenon, but not having an answer for it. And then the last 10 years have been observation, of course, but more with an understanding of how this is occurring, okay? And I am still in the process of learning, because it is overwhelming at some stages to really grasp the concept of quantum physics, because quantum physics is so massive. It's so much larger than our mind. And so it requires us to look further than the mind. And I talked about in other sessions that some people live life in 2D, or what I call two-dimensional, and that is soul and body. The soul encompasses the mind, the will, and the emotions, and then they have a body, okay? But we are actually 3-part beings, and the soul and the spirit are separate. And so we have a spirit, which God breathed life into. Then we have the soul, which is the reasoning center, the mind, the will, and the emotions. And then all of that is housed within our body or the vessel. And so 3D, we incorporate the spiritual aspect of the being. And that is only in that aspect that we can begin to understand quantum, frequencies, and how a person can have a disease process, take in a pet, and in a matter of time, the pet also develops the disease process. As we know, this is not like a bacteria, a zoonotic bacteria, jumping from the animal to the person or the person to the animal, okay? We're talking about an actual disease process. We're talking about heart failure, kidney failure, spinal degenerative disc disease of the spine or spinal problems. We're talking about hip dysplasia or hip pain or arthritis. I mean, we have, and it is a common question that I always ask my clients. Oftentimes they bring it up to me. But if we have a shoulder injury or shoulder pain in a pet, I will often ask the client, do you have shoulder pain? Or have you had a shoulder surgery? Or, anything to do with that joint. And I will say 90% of the time they say yes. We have the majority of clients when we're dealing with lumbar disease say, oh, is that L5 and L6? Yes, I have a compressed disc at L5 and L6. I've had people tell me that they have a pinched nerve on the same side of their neck as the dog does. Over and over and over again. These are everyday occurrences. And so we are understanding in this course how that's possible, okay? Understanding frequencies themselves, and we've gone over the frequency chart several times, so that's very important to know. And I will try to put the frequency chart back up again today. But every organism on the earth, everything that is created, resonates at a certain frequency. And emotional frequencies tend to create imbalances in the body. And those imbalances create the disease. So that's how the frequencies that are resonating, the emotional frequencies of a household, can trigger imbalances with each person in the household, or maybe just the one person and the pet. And we call pets frequency sponges, and that's because they are always beside us. They are oftentimes just receptive to us. They love us with unconditional love. And there's a bond that forms between a person and a pet. And in that bond, you may not be able to see it, but in quantum, it is an actual physical bond. And within that bond, the frequencies are passed from the person to the pet. So that is how disease is shared among a person and a pet. So